Okay, thank you, Bill. And thank you for checking in today for our latest in our Land Records webinar series, Turn Over a New Leaf with ArcGIS Pro, Parcel Fabric, Editing Tips and Branch Versioning. This presentation continues our series with the ArcGIS Pro Parcel Fabric, following the first installment, an introduction to Parcel Fabric in ArcGIS Pro, and the second installment, give record-driven workflows a spin with ArcGIS Pro Parcel Fabric. If you would like more information about the previous webinars, please visit our website, email us, or find us on social media to get those recordings. So before we branch out into today's webinar, let me start that again. Let's review a few things from our previous presentations. We discussed the process of upgrading an ArcMap Parcel Fabric to an ArcGIS Pro Parcel Fabric. For those that have non-Parcel Fabric parcel data, we discussed how to create a Pro Parcel Fabric and append the source data to the corresponding parcel types. In each case, we also discussed the record-driven workflow in ArcGIS Pro and how to create and manage parcel records. We also highlighted a few editing workflows, such as creating parcels from a traverse, merging parcels, splitting parent parcels, and splitting parcels by meets and bounds. So what are records and the record-driven workflow? Records are the legal records, such as plats, deeds, or records of survey, that serve as the foundation of the parcel data. Record-driven workflow represents the fact that the parcels are created and edited based on changes reflected in those plats, deeds, and records of survey. In the ArcGIS Pro Parcel Fabric, some tools used to build or edit parcels are disabled if you are not working in an active record. This diagram is a representation of the Parcel Fabric in ArcGIS Pro. Records are at the center of the data model with points, lines, polygons in the Parcel Fabric associated with records. In Pro, records are a feature class within the Parcel Fabric. Some things to consider with the Parcel Fabric in ArcGIS Pro. As far as your ArcGIS license goes, you need to have either the standard or advanced desktop license. If you are in a single user environment, you can use a file geodatabase and Pro 2.4 or later. If you deploy your Parcel Fabric in an enterprise environment, you need to have an enterprise geodatabase, a matching Parcel Fabric version to the minimum Pro and Enterprise releases. In addition, branch versioning is also used in the enterprise deployment, and we will talk more about branch versioning in a few moments. This is a table showing the compatibility of Parcel Fabric versions with ArcGIS Pro releases and ArcGIS Enterprise releases. Notably, Parcel Fabric versions are not backward compatible. So if your Parcel Fabric is version 4, that means you must have either ArcGIS Pro 2.7 or 2.8 and Enterprise 10.9 if you are in an enterprise environment. If your Parcel Fabric is version 2, that means your minimum Pro release is 2.5 and the minimum enterprise release is 10.8. So here are today's topics. We'll discuss branch versioning. We will look at importing points, specifically control points, into a Pro Parcel Fabric. And then we will climb into some other editing workflow scenarios. So we'll start with branch versioning. First of all, the concept of versioning a database is the ability to have multiple editors editing the same data set at the same time. The editors edit a specific version of the database, and at a certain time, a database manager, either by automated task or manual process, will reconcile edits of all versions and post the edits to the default version. So if editor A is editing a parcel's geometry in the editor A version, and editor B is editing attributes of that same parcel in the editor B version, the reconcile and post process will bring all edits together in the default version. If any data conflicts arise, the database manager can choose to resolve the conflicts. So this is traditional versioning, and that takes place on the enterprise database side. Branch versioning, however, uses a services-based architecture via web feature services. So the version management takes place after the data has been published as web feature services. Also, this is important for our land records audience. If you are using multiple editors in an ArcGIS enterprise environment with the ArcGIS Pro Parcel Fabric, you must use branch versioning. Also, a services-based architecture such as this allows you to share the Parcel Fabric across multiple platforms: desktop, mobile, and web. Some other information about branch versioning. The portal user that you sign into ArcGIS Pro with must have editing privileges. The edits are tracked using archiving functionality. One level of named versions with version management capabilities can be created from the default version, and there's one editor per branch version. Users can only reconcile and post to the default version, and edits to a branch version can only be done in the web feature layer, not from a direct database connection. So we'll talk about a few different version scenarios here. In this example, we see a default version set to public access. The editors can directly edit the default version. While multiple editors can edit default at the same time, it is important to consider that in this scenario, editors cannot undo and redo edits, and conflict detection is not available. In this next scenario, we have two named versions, version A and version B, created from the default version, which is set to public access. Any of these three versions could be edited. Multiple users for the default, editor A for the version A, and editor B for version B. All edits here are reconciled with default, and then the viewers can see the changes via the web feature layers. In this final example, we have the two named versions, version A and version B. And this time, the default version is set to protected access. This means that edits can only be made to the named versions. After reconciling with default, viewers can then see those changes in the web feature layers. So on to the next topic for today, which is points in the Parcel Fabric. Points are one component of the Parcel Fabric data model, shown here in this diagram, and are involved in the record-driven workflow. In the Parcel Fabric, points can represent parcel corners, connection line endpoints, or control points. Here are the attributes that you can find in the points feature class in the Parcel Fabric. Some of the fields here that I want to highlight are the created by record field, which is the global ID of the parcel record that created the point. And then the retired by record field, which is the global ID of the parcel record that retired the point. If the point or the adjacent parcels are retired, they become historic features. These historic layers can be added to your map to show historic progression of parcel features. The historic layers are created with the following query: retired by record is not null. If the retired by record field is populated with the record global ID, then that feature will display in the historic layer. Another important attribute here in the points layer is the fixed shape field. This indicates whether or not the point shape geometry can be moved. If the value is set to yes, then the point is a control point and it will hold its position within the parcel fabric. So how do you import points such as control points into the parcel fabric? There is a geoprocessing tool that will do just that. This tool takes source point data and imports into a target parcel fabric. You can direct the tool to import into an existing parcel record, or you can create a new parcel record. The next step here would be to choose a match point method and a search distance. And then after choosing an update type, you can optionally add a conflicts table to your database. Diving further into a couple of parameters of this tool, the choices for match point method are proximity, which parcel fabric points within a proximity tolerance of the source points will be matched to the source points. Name and proximity, in which parcel fabric points within the proximity tolerance and have the same name as the source data are matched. And global ID and proximity, in which the parcel fabric points within the proximity tolerance and have the same global ID as the source points are matched and updated. On the right side, we have update type, where we have three choices for this parameter. Choosing all will update the geometry and matching attribute fields of the parcel fabric points. Coincident parcels will also be updated. Choosing geometry will only update the geometry of the parcel fabric points, and coincident parcels will be updated as well. The third option is retire and replace. This takes the source points and imports them as new parcel fabric points. Any matching parcel fabric points are then retired as historic. This populates the retired by record field of matching parcel fabric points with the global ID of the specified record name. Okay, so that brings us now to our demonstrations. So I'm going to exit the PowerPoint and go into ArcGIS Pro and take a quick drink here. Okay, now we're ready to go for the demonstration. Okay, in my Pro project map, I've brought in my control points layer, which is our source point data. I have it displayed in these light blue point symbols. And we also see here in our drawing, or in our table of contents, the Parcel Fabric layers, various Parcel Fabric layers, including a layer called points. Now, in our control points attribute table, please note that the isFixed field is populated with a yes value. A few slides ago, we saw that this field was called fixed shape, but it's basically the same field here and performs the same function. The first step here is to create or manage the parcel record and set it as the active record. This is done in the heads-up display in the top left of the map. Clicking this gear symbol will give us the options to either create a record or manage records. I'm going to click on Manage Records, and then choosing from these standard options, I'm going to choose records created in the last 7 days. So I'm going to right-click on this result, which I generically named New Record, and we're going to set that as our active record. Next, we need to open the Import Parcel Fabric Points tool from the Geoprocessing pane. In the first parameter, we're going to choose our source points, in this case, our layer called Control Points. And then we're going to choose the target Parcel Fabric. In the record name parameter, I will enter in the name of our active record. And optionally, if we did not have an active parcel record set and left this parameter blank, a new record would be created. For the match point method, I'm going to leave that as proximity. And I'm going to set a search distance of 1 foot. For the update type, I'm going to choose retire and replace. And then for the conflicts table, I can navigate to the database where the Parcel Fabric resides, and I'm going to create an import point conflicts table. I'm going to enable undo and then click run, and this process will import the points. So I'm going to zoom in here quickly to one of our points. And the imported control point is now part of the Parcel Fabric, and the corresponding parcel features have been modified to that control point. One other thing that we can do here is to update COGO attributes. So I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to select the features that I need to update COGO on. And then I'm going to open up the Update COGO tool. And then after we view the information here, we're going to click Update. And we can see that our dimensions of this this north 89 degree 45 minute 42 second west line has ever so slightly been modified to match what the dimensions are now with our imported control points. Okay, And now for our second demonstration, we are going to talk about, we're going to go back to a workflow from a previous webinar, which was splitting parent parcels. And we're going to use that workflow with a few different options. So once again, the first step is to create a record or set an existing record as the active record. So we go into the heads-up display menu, click Manage Records. This time I'm going to search for all records in the map extent. And I'm going to highlight the split parent parcels demo record. Right click on that and set that as the active record. And of course our heads-up display now reflects what the active record is. Okay, so our next step is using our select tool. We are going to select a parcel or parcels that we want to split. Our next step now is in the Records tab. We want to click on the Copy Lines To tool. And then we can choose the parcel type for our parcel to split and whether we want to preserve the attributes and show only the active record. So I'm going to click OK to copy these lines of the selected parcel to the active record. Next, I will select a line that I want to add a split point or multiple split points to. And then now we will click on the Divide tool in the Records tab, the toolbox there. In the Divide tool, we need to choose the divide method, which is either going to be distance, equal parts, or percentage, the direction of the line to split, and how to space the split points. For the distance method, you can choose either a single distance, equal distances, or varying distances. For the equal parts method, you choose the desired number of parts as the values. And for the percentage method, you enter the desired percentages. For this demonstration, we're going to use the equal parts method with 3 parts. So now that we have that set, we will click Divide. And that will divide that line into 3 parts. We're going to repeat that process for another line here for that parcel. Our next step would be we can either use the Traverse tool or the 2-point line tool in the Create Features box for text lines in this case. And we're going to find our endpoints and draw in lines between those split points. Okay, so we have our lines created for the new parcels. Next, we need to create parcel seeds. So we go back to our Records tab and click on Create Seeds. This creates parcel seeds for each of the new parcels, which will help in the building of new parcel polygons. Here we can either add the attributes now, if we have any attributes we want to add, or we can wait until the parcels are built. So these newly created parcel lines are missing COGO attributes. So I'm going to select our new lines and then click on the Update COGO tool. And this will update the COGO attributes for these parcel lines. Finally, our next step would be to click the Build Active tool. And this will build these parcels into parcel polygons. Finally, we will turn on the historic text parcels layer in this case. As you can see, it's shaded with the red lines, and that means that's representing the historic parcel. And that is all I have for today. So back over to you, Bill.
All right, I'm going to share my screen with some contact information here. Doesn't look like any questions today, but we're right up on time, so that's okay. Folks, thank you so much for attending today. Again, great information by Matt. I put a couple links in the chat room there, so make sure and look at those. Like you can see our contact information up there, email for Matt and myself. If you have any more questions or follow up for us, phone number to the office here, 877-377-8124. Of course, we're all over social media, so you can follow us there to keep tabs on what we're doing. All of our, like I said before, YouTube, all of our webinars are recorded and put up on our YouTube channel. And I will be following up with folks that signed up. Just making sure that you get a direct recording of that sent to you. But again, thank you for attending today. If you have any questions or any other inquiries, please do not be afraid to get a hold of us. And again, thanks for attending. We hope to see you real soon.